You are now tuned in to the On Track with All My People podcast with your hosts, Amber Peters, A.K.A. Mizz P.
And Daitwan David, A.K.A. Dr. Change. Ain't nothing strange about it. A.K.A. Mr. David, A.K.A. Ayo Mizz.
Oh my God, Daitwan, can we just start the show already? I'll just cut off whatever. Doesn't work.
No, you don't got to cut anything off. You're going to be talking about technology. I want people to know that sometimes, as such a guru that you are, you struggle sometimes too.
Listen, stop playing with me.
Well, let me tell you one place that you struggle. Let me tell you one place that you struggle. Right? I just want to let people know because I'm 2023.
Why
I said we're going to be transparent. So first I want to thank you because you did something nice for me. You did something nice for me, right?
You're welcome.
And then we were shooting this episode. And right before we shoot this episode, I'm in the bathroom to change. And I got on this medium shirt.
He told me a large.
With small sleeves.
He told me to give a large.
This medium shirt with small sleeves.
He said,
and I'm finding it a little hard to breathe.
I wear a large.
I'm finding it hard to. You found your right size, right? You have all that technology, right? You got me UK sizes.
This man said, I wear a large. I was very clear.
Grown American man. Wow. Black American. You got me UK. You gave me UK sizes.
Then you need an extra large.
And now I got heart palpitations. I wanted to just be smooth on this episode. I'm controlling. Look.
No, your biceps
I'm controlling my breathing.
Is bulging and everything.
I'm lucky I used the oil today because I don't usually get to this part.
Strong, healthy, black man.
So we start on this episode. Welcome to back to On Track with All My People.
With this guy.
Let's start off with me, Daitwan David, A.K.A. Dr. Change, and
Amber Peters, A.K.A. Mizz P. You already know. And together we are on track with All My People.
There we go. Looking forward to talking about this particular episode because we have some really dope things that's happening within the world.
Yes.
Minus how tight this shirt is. I'm pretty happy and excited about this particular. Amber, I'm breathing. I'm breath control right now.
That's not my fault.
It's all good.
See, that needs to be part of your New Year's resolutions.
Listen. Shots fired.
Ooh. I'm just saying, if it's medium like that.
Shots fired.
If it's tight like that, like you say.
I bet you won't eat nothing right now. Your shirt is going to change.
That's cool.
So let's get to it.
It sure will. I ain't going to lie. Food, baby.
This or that. Talk to me. What are we doing? This or that?
So we're going to open up today. Today we felt like, opening up with a little game. Since we're going to be talking about technology, this episode is going to be very technology focused because there's so much changing in the world that we want you guys to understand like what's happening and how this can affect you and your kids, right? So we're going to play this or that technology edition.
Okay.
You ready, Daitwan?
I'm always ready.
Okay, so the first one, this or that, iPhone or Android?
Listen.
Can't even find it.
Yeah,
See?
We're going with, for those that can see, we're going with Team Android.
Amen.
Team Android. Let me explain. I know people are talking about the color of these bubbles. That's all well and good. I can guarantee. I wish this was on FanDuel. I'm going to go with the over. I can guarantee 75% of people with iPhones, their thumbs got cuts in it because their screens are always cracked. The screens are always cracked.
And no space. Can't take not a picture. Hey, Amber, can you take this picture for me? I sure will. Yes. On my Android phone that has lots of space that I can add to.
And if it's dark, their cameras.
Trash.
Terrible. Basura. Absolutely trash. Awful. All right, next one.
Computer. If you had a choice to work, this one, right? A computer or your cell phone?
Yeah, I'm going to go with computer. Well, laptop specifically. The cell phone. There's a lot of errors I make when I'm doing things on the cell. Certain things don't work. The mobile options apps don't work the same if I'm doing extensive work. So I'm going to go with a laptop specifically.
I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the computer, the laptop. Yeah. So like you said, especially like on docs.
For sure.
It's mad little and you can't really like scroll across the same way. So it's kind of annoying. But I will say the phone has saved my life on many of occasions. So I'm going to give it an honorable mention, but I'm going to go with the computer.
Here's what I will say. in reference to the first question, which people may feel some kind of way, there was a point in time that I think I preferred using the Mac versus PC in terms of computers for various reasons. But why you looking like that?
Because I'm sitting here talking to y'all from my iPad.
Hilarious.
Listen, I am team Android for my phone, but for all my other
I think
gadget needs, it's all Apple every day.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. They offered me from T-Mobile, Sprint. I don't know what they're calling themselves these days. It's trickery. Depending on what borough you go to, you don't get the same service. But they offered me a Samsung tablet. And that thing is slow as molasses. That thing, it don't even turn that tablet is terrible.
Get your life.
Your tablets are trash.
Stop playing with us.
Yeah, trash. Okay.
Writing notes, actually writing with a pen to paper or typing.
Yeah, so I think I've definitely found uses for both. But in terms of retention, being able to have more flexibility with gathering my thoughts and, things like that, I think I prefer to write my notes because that's how I was introduced to note taking initially. Right. And I think this is something that is, just it's easier for me to process a lot of things when I have a chance, even if I'm scribbling something on a napkin or whatever, it's just easier for me to process things that way.
Yeah, I'm a writer. I love writing. Even with my tablet, I gotta have a pencil. And no, this is not an Apple Pencil, y'all. Let me tell you something about Amazon, okay? Amazon got this little pencil. It's $24 and change. I wish I would spend money for a Apple Pencil when this works just as well. But I do like the act of writing. So even though it's a tablet, I still prefer to write my notes.
Let me just tell you the mistake that you just made. What? You held up your iPad and talked about how amazing that Amazon. I guarantee there is going to be a code that is dropped tonight on the update, and that pen is not going to work anymore.
Listen, they're not going to do me like that.
They're going to do you dirty.
They're not going to do me like that. Nah, they're not gonna do me like that. Don't put that juju in the air.
Okay.
See, now you got me sitting here thinking about my pen going.
Your pen's not gonna work. Your pen's gonna be obsolete.
Stop playing with me. Let's go to this other one. Meeting in person. Meeting someone in person, someone. I know you got your someone. But if y'all had to do it all again, would you have met her online? Or would you have liked to have met her in person?
So,
what would be?
Yeah. So interesting enough, yes, I have my person. And yeah, if I was in the dating scene right now, that online situation is rough. So here's a funny story. Before the online dating thing was a situation, people were doing the AOLs and the Black Planets.
We was though.
Yeah, and I just told the story that I got catfish on Black Planet. I didn't know anything about angles at that point. I didn't know about the trickery of the angles.
Or
but
being catfished. Have you ever? Well,
I heard about
y'all don't get catfished, but we get catfished.
Oh, we definitely got catfish.
We know.
Y'all just call them wigs and installs.
You know what?
We get catfish.
I'm mad.
We definitely get catfish.
I'm so mad. I like meeting people in person.
Yeah.
Right. I like meeting people in person, preferably through people who know people because. It gets dicey meeting people in the street. You might, it'd be like one of those horror stories or the horror movies. The guy is perfect in the beginning, and all of a sudden you end up in somebody's floorboards. I'm not. No, thank you.
Yeah, I would say for sure meeting in person is definitely just more of a way to kind of gauge if this vibe or this energy is for you.
Yes, because people can fake vibes.
For sure.
Fake them. Hard. And it's bad. Reading a book or reading on your Kindle, tablet, or whatever have you.
Yeah. So once again, I think this goes towards how you were introduced to these things. So for me, I would say reading a book versus reading the Kindle. I just sometimes just need that tactile, I guess, being able to kind of look at it and flip to what I need to flip to. And then also being on the screen for a very long time, I get distracted. I start opening up other tabs. So there's just too much going on. So I would say being able to kind of read a book is the better option. But I will say this. I have long commutes to several different places that I work at, and those audiobooks, some of them have been clutch. They've definitely been clutch. So I would say like that, I would prefer that over the Kindle as well. What are you choosing?
Yeah, I would say, so for me, even with audiobooks, like I need to take notes. Like I like to, be able to hold on to what I've read. So I would say like I like the tablet though, right? It's I would prefer a real book because I like to take notes in the margins and all that other stuff and have a cute little bookmark and all that stuff.
For sure.
But like I feel like I'm able to like copy and paste stuff that I learn in some of these books and stuff like that, and it's a little bit easier for me to like really get that information in my head. So I would say more the tablet or the Kindle. I ain't had a Kindle in a good long while. My Kindle been stopped working.
That's real.
Been stopped working. But like my tablet or my phone, I always read from there.
So once again, I think that it also may depend on, once again, when you were introduced to these things. So this particular generation, the digital age, some of them may prefer to they're used to kind of maybe utilizing technology. So we're talking about technology. And I want to kind of get to this because it's something that you brought to my attention last week. It was brought up in one of the job spaces that I'm working at. It was really interesting. So at our last episode, we specifically talked about just sort of like not resolutions, but more so goals. And also that our young people that are in this space in high school are going to hopefully do inventories of themselves. One of the challenges once we do this inventory is they have to start, prepping, right? Brag sheet.
Oh, yeah.
Writing a personal statement, getting recommendations and things of that nature. The personal statement has historically kicked people's behind.
Yeah.
Right?
I was one of them.
So, in understanding about this, a lot of the colleges, especially the last couple of years where they were forced to move towards a more holistic approach and not having to censor standardized testing as much. Being able to kind of look at writing samples, right? And all of those things are more weighted. The writing samples, the recommendations are more weighted. I'm trying to get my young people to understand the value of how the personal statement is demonstrating your writing ability, which they want to be able to be able to figure out what that looks like, and then also be able to tell your story and give voice beyond your academics.
That part.
But the personal statement college essay kicks the behinds of many of our young people.
All the time.
We have something that has come out. I want you to kind of tell us about like what is something that we feel may be a game changer. Before we even talk about the pros and cons, what is potentially a game changer?
So there's so many things happening. I don't know if you guys are paying attention, right? There are a lot of artificial intelligence tools that are coming to the forefront right now. And I ain't gonna lie, I use some of them, and I like them.
I would have told,
and they help me so much. You use it. So like they have things like
so you got ghostwriters like Drake.
Right? They have
ghostwriters like Drake.
Didn't I say in the last episode I am a solopreneur?
Okay.
I need as many tools as I can get. Right,
Quentin Miller.
So there's so many. You know what? Don't do me like that. But there's so many different tools out there that can be helpful, right? But there's also some that are concerning to a lot of people, especially in, the admission space, whether it be in academia, education. There's a lot of people who are nervous about artificial intelligence, right? Because I think also people know that it can be powerful, right? Everybody watched, what was it, iRobot? What was that? It was that movie with Will Smith. A lot of people are terrified because of iRobot. Let's be real, right? Everybody thinks that that's the only thing that AI is, right? A Terminator, right? Like that's the only thing that we understand about AI and AI technology. So we're seeing it as that. But like with these tools, yes, there are some concerns, right? Because like Chat GPT, there was this whole thing where you can literally it's almost like a computer person. So you're talking to an avatar, you say, hey, can you help me write a story? And you can be as detailed as you want or as vague as you want, and it will write you a story, and it will be a good story. It will be a great story even. And so a lot of people are thinking about this when it comes to admissions, like how do we know if this child is actually genuinely this gifted at writing, or is it that they're using this artificial intelligence to create this essay. So yeah, like those are the big concerns. But like, honestly, the one that I use is called WordTune. WordTune is not creating like a whole essay, right? But what I've done with my young people is like, hey, I see that you're struggling with the sentences or the sentence structure, or you don't really know how to word things the way you want it. Like, it's in your head one way, but then when you write it down, it looks different. What I'll have them do, like, literally you can highlight sentence. All you have to do is highlight the sentence that's bothering you, and then it will give you a drop down of other sentences that you can use to replace it, right? But it's not replacing the context. You came up with the idea. It's your context. It's just changing the way it sounds so that it sounds a little bit stronger in the context of your full essay. So like something like that, I'm not worried about, right? But like a Chat GPT, where I'm literally like, people are writing whole blog posts and whole, like, for a business owner, I can see how that's helpful, right? It gives you extra hands, it gives you extra reach. But for a student who hasn't really gotten a chance to really understand how to articulate themselves, I think that's the scary part, is because like, if I don't even know how to express myself, now I'm going to be in the classroom with a professor, right? That's going to come off one way, right?
For sure.
That's going to come off one way. And then they're going to get this essay that's going to be like amazing. And it's like, wait, this kid don't participate. This kid don't do nothing. But like, how the heck is he writing on this level, right? So like, it's going to definitely cause some confusion if people don't know how to leverage it properly.
So I want to speak to what I think the impact would be from the college access side, as somebody that's supporting students with their personal statement. What I want to ask really quickly is, why do you think admissions officers are so scared of students using that tool to create their personal statement?
I think for them, it's probably like the trying to figure out who's genuine and who's not, right? Like, it's already hard to figure out, like, you have 30,000 applications that come across your desk. It's already hard to make a decision about who gets a spot to begin with, right? But now you have a bunch of, it will seem like these stellar applications, these stellar essays, and like, you really won't know who you're bringing into your college until they actually get there, right? Because if I just fabricated this whole story, right, like, that diversity or that thing that I was like, that it factor I was looking for is not even going to show up on campus because that was a whole fake essay.
For sure. Okay, so just speaking on that particular side, I remember being in my master's program. It was educational psychology. It was something where it entailed a lot of research, a lot of writing. And that writing put me on my behind. I'm somebody that enjoys writing, but it's a very specific type of writing, right? And I know some people don't, I've heard and seen the stories of people like, in tears, grown people in tears, because they didn't pass. Some of them didn't even pass their dissertation because everything didn't go well. Somebody posted today that talked about, and I've had this dream of like dreaming that you failed the class because you forgot it, but you've already graduated. Like that is crazy, right? But let's get back to the side from teachers or college counselors or whatever. I believe the way that you explained it, this particular you're saying Chat GPT.
Yes.
Could be transformational in helping to eliminate the barrier of college writing, the college essays, the personal statements. Because if we can get young people to focus on the value of their story, right? We understand that many of them, there is a gap in their writing ability, but let's focus on the value of your story first, because some of them don't even want to embrace what that value is because they don't know how to get it out. Yes. Right? So that's the first hurdle with me. I know there's some people that tell students just write a story and it is what it is. And these young people are not being authentic to themselves and what they want to say and how they want to brand themselves to other places, right? So my first thing is, let's make sure we understand the value of your story and what you're trying to promote. The other part of it, you have one counselor, maybe two counselors in a school working with 100 students.
That part.
And over 75, 80% struggle with writing. Yeah, if they know that story, but they don't know how to get it out, that part is crazy. That makes
it really hard because, like, not for nothing, and, even the best of the best counselors cannot sit down with every single student and, like, go over that essay, right? We have some schools in which, like, the English teacher is the person who is responsible for helping the kids with the whole essay writing process, but like writing is a process, right? And like sometimes I feel like, one, we're doing it too late. That's number one.
For sure.
Right? Like we have a few months to cram in writing. If you historically have been a terrible writer, 3 months is not going to change your life, right? It's just not going to change your life, right? Like, do we have enough time to help you get edits and things like that? Sometimes, right? Like, that's if the teacher is not overwhelmed. That's if the counselor is not overwhelmed. That's if the school is working together as a team, which I've seen work really well, where like, you know, some of the other teachers will band together and be like, all right, so I'm gonna like read this whole class's essays and like give them edits and feedback, right? But if you don't have that kind of team structure at your place, they have to resort to technology, I think.
Yeah, so you hit the main point. There's not enough of a runway for young people to understand that this is not just a regular homework assignment, that you get it done, you turn it in, right? This is a process. There's a young man that I worked with. His name is Devon Williams. Shout out to that young man there at John Jay Secondary School for Law. And that we worked on his essay, and we probably have 4 or 5 revisions. It took us almost 6 months to get it in. And that was the essay that helped him to get into NYU. He's now a graduate. Very proud of him. But he had such a powerful story, but it didn't start out with the intensity that it needed to. So we had to really dig in order to make that happen. And from then on, I tried to use that example, that there was a young man that had a confident story, but he wasn't fully confident in his writing for this particular task. And we had to work on it. A lot of my young people have not developed that understanding that this is what it takes to write a well thought out, statement about yourself. And so they'll write the assignment, they'll turn it into the teacher. And in some instances, the teachers, it's going to take a while for them to kind of review it. And once they review it, it's reviewed for a grade. And some of them don't have necessarily the capacity or the ability to like get everybody done to a point where it's refined and ready to submit.
That part. So that's the other part is the refining, right? Yep. And like, if you don't know how to do it for yourself, like I'm so grateful for the training I had in like middle school and elementary school on like, you know, grammar, spelling, punctuation, sentence structure, context. Because a lot of times the kids don't even understand context. They wrote it. What does this mean? What is the connection we're making here? They can't tell you. Right. And so like, I'm grateful that I was able to have that, but we don't have that anymore, I would say. And I don't know what's happening in the classroom. I couldn't tell you because I've never been an English teacher. So I couldn't tell you where it starts. I can't tell you what grade we need to start focusing on. I couldn't tell you like pinpoint that. But I know for a fact, like if we were able to start a little bit earlier and like really kind of help them to process and also like process the changes. The one thing that I hated in college, that damn red pen. Yeah. I hated that red pen. Yeah. But every time you got it back, it got better and better, right? Because it forced you to look at it differently and, you know, okay, so that didn't work. So let me come up with something else, right? A lot of young people can't do it for themselves, though.
For sure.
And that's the hard part is like we need them to also have some autonomy in this process and being able to do these things.
Plenty of autonomy.
Right? But we also have to help them to build the skill first. So that I think is the area of where technology can help, right? We got Grammarly, we have spell check, we have all these different things. But like sometimes what killed me about spell check is like they would get like fix the word, but now it don't make sense for the rest of the sentence. Right? But they can't tell that it doesn't make sense for the rest of the sentence because they don't got the little squiggly line anymore.
So here's what I will say. I am a firm believer in process. I think one of the things that I've struggled with over time, there were people that have found efficient ways of moving forward where I'm just like, no, I got to go through all of these different steps. And I've learned in many different instances that, you know, you have to kind of figure out ways to be more efficient, work smarter, right? In this regard, I know that there are going to be some students that are just going to abuse this system.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're going to continue to get by, right? And they're not going to understand how to, how to write. Like, that's such a fundamental and basic thing that many of the jobs will definitely require. And beyond writing, right? Like physically putting it down. being able to construct like a stream of thought of consciousness that makes sense, that really illustrates what it is.
Wait, say
that makes sense.
That
right?
makes sense.
It makes sense and illustrates what you're trying to get across. That's the part that I think is going to be missed in utilizing the Chat GPT. Now, I still want to investigate. I have nothing. No.
Listen,
I need to investigate this.
Listen. I'm going to tell y'all. Right.
You had a chance to play with it.
I want you guys to just go and find it. Chat GPT, right? I think it's an open AI is the parent company of it. You're gonna get it. You're gonna use it, and I want you to come to your own conclusions. As you know, the as adult expert, right? I want you to use it for yourself and see like what you get from it, and like think about how you would use it, because if you can figure out how you would use it, then you can teach somebody else to use it more responsibly, right? Like, so for me, like if I was going to do something off of Chat GPT, like I found another system that is very similar to it called Write Sonic. But Write Sonic will give you more fact-based, because Chat GPT was actually something that everybody created, like the collective created, right? Because they was like, hey, we got this thing, we're testing it out, everybody use it and see what you get from it, right? And so the AI gets smarter and smarter the more you use it, right? So now you have the masses just using it and playing around with it. So a lot of that information may not be the right information because it's coming from people.
For sure.
People generate it.
For sure.
Whereas like something like Write Sonic is connected to Google, so you know you're getting more factual information. But like right? And I had to go investigate and do this for myself, because I've seen a lot of people talking about it. I'm in a lot of groups online, and some teachers were looking at it like, oh my gosh, this is plagiarism. Oh, I'm just going to throw the paper out. And it's like, there might be some truth to it, right? If they used it properly, if they used it like I would go in, try to get an idea of something to write, right? And then I would change it to fit me, the person. And I think that's the part that's missing, is the personalization, right? It's just this computer is generating something that is impersonal, right? Doesn't belong to anybody. It's nobody's story, right? And so obviously it's not going to fit the person. But like if they can use it to even jog what they want to say, right? To get inspired, to like be able to have a starting point. Oh, okay, I did have a story like this. I can, right? Because they're also giving it details. So they can give it as many details as they want, or they can give it, no details at all and say, write me a story, write me a college admissions essay about, a poor black kid, right? And they'll come up with a story about a poor black kid.
You see,
right?
I'm starting to feel some kind of way now. So there are debates in hip hop, and then on the show, you're going to see I'm going to reference a lot of other areas that may not have anything to do with college or college access, but there are debates in hip hop, right? Now I feel as though I'm probably aligned with purists, right? So is it okay for you to get accolades if somebody is penning what you are getting credit for, right? So, and I think that this, in many ways, if you're saying, and I don't know, I have to investigate it myself, but you put in something in a query and it puts things together and it computes a whole story.
Yes.
Do you have to go back in and
like literally? Somebody said they wrote an entire book on this platform. Entire book.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Right? He get paid now.
See?
He get paid now.
He can't be on Oprah's bestsellers. He can't. Not for me. He can't. So,
and herein lies the problem, right? Because you're gonna have these people who are gonna be like, yo, this is a problem. But the other part of it is like so many things are getting automated, right? And I remember going to a workshop. DYCD had a workshop a few years back where they had like a bunch of students come in and like give feedback on like programming and this and that. And there was a gentleman who came in and he was talking about technology, how technology is pretty much like taking over everything, right? Taking over jobs and things like that. And he showed this video, and it was a pizzeria, and the pizzeria had like a whole, it was all robots, right? There was no people.
I don't know if it's true.
There's no people in there.
I think Jay-Z invested in it. I'm not sure. I think I've seen that.
It's like no people. It's literally the robot is making the pizza, putting the pizza together, serving up the pizza, everything, right? And then I was like, wow, like we could be working out, like your thing, working our way out of a job. We could be doing that to ourselves with all this technology that we have. But like,
let's stop right there because you said something. You mentioned the pizza. Let me ask you this: would you eat at a Jamaican restaurant?
No.
Made by robots?
No, I need to be cussed out.
Well, you got to be cussed out. That's the seasoning.
It's an experience.
If you get, you got to get one of those a couple of times.
You need a good chops, and you need to get cussed out, and you need to be told that they ain't got nothing in the bag.
Yes, the authenticity of that experience lets you know that what you do get is going to be good, right? So there's that. Here's one other thought before we kind of get to one thing I want to ask about you. Two things, actually. One of the first things I'll say is there will be some benefits to some people where, unfortunately, writing is going to be a barrier because they haven't been here long enough, right? Yeah. Like students that are just migrating to the country, right? Yeah. Like, and they have to like really just kind of navigate things quickly. I have students that come to the country junior year, senior year, and they got to get all these things done, right? Yeah. It's nerve-wracking. They have the intelligence.
Yes.
They have the ability, but now they need to translate it to English. So for those... I'm not going to say who should be used for or not or whatever, but I can see some instances where it can remove a lot of barriers, a lot of systemic barriers as well. Yeah. Like being able to kind of, just navigate that process. But what I want to say, because of course I think you're going to have some people that have pushback for various reasons, and some of them is going to be valid reasons. You have, in a way, leverage, not in a way you have leveraged technology. You've created an app. We've learned from the pandemic there was a digital divide.
Yes.
And that,
a digital divide.
There's still a digital divide, right? And I think that we did learn that there are many spaces where technology can be a benefit to a lot of different people.
Oh, yeah.
There are many companies, many organizations that are still benefiting from the use of what they learned from the pandemic. How have you been able to use technology in a way that you feel like was responsible and how others can benefit from it?
I mean, there's a couple of different ways, right? One is the app, right? So the app centers everything.
What is the app name?
It's called On Track for College, guys. Get that Google Play App Store. Go download that. Have your kids download it. You're welcome, by the way. Just saying it right now. So pretty much what I did was I would get a lot of young people who would like come to me. They'd be like, Mizz, help me with my FAFSA. Greg, help me with the FAFSA. Oh my God, Mizz. What was that website again? Like, we just did it 5 seconds ago, right? And so, like, instead of, like having this back and forth, I just told you, why you don't remember? Why you ain't write it down? I just tell them, hey, go to the resources button, and you're going to go find the FAFSA link right there, and you will be taken directly to where you need to go, right? One, it helped me to kind of, like, monitor what they're doing, right? Like I can see what they're looking up. I know exactly where they're going to go because they can only go but a certain amount of places from the app, right? I wanted to also make it a little bit more user friendly. Like this whole process is just ridiculous. Like still in 2022, and we still struggling with the damn process. Right. I don't understand. Right. It makes me upset. So what I did was try to make it more palatable for a young person, right? Like, in a way that they understand, nothing on there is more than 3 minutes on purpose because attention span, right? There's notifications that go out weekly to make sure that they're able to stay on track with me. So anything that they need to be doing throughout the entire year, I'm like literally walking them through, hey, did you do your FAFSA? Hey, make sure you talk to your parents about X. Hey, make sure you tap your recommenders to make sure they sent out your recommendations. I'm literally walking them through the process. So that was one way, right? I was meeting kids all over. This city is too damn big for me to be meeting as many students as I meet, and them all being like having the same issue. Right. Nobody has told me about this. Like I didn't know I had to do this. I got tired of hearing it. So I was like, this is going to be a way for me to help as many as I could, right? So that's one way. The other way is like, there was a lot of stuff that we got access to as a result of the pandemic. We got Zoom. We got a lot of people were using Remind. I'm Remind from way back. Remind you the homie forever. Okay, you can text your students without using your personal number. I've been utilizing that for the longest in like kids respond to text. There are studies that show this, right? And so even the colleges were finding this out during the pandemic, and right before the pandemic, they were looking at how students engage and respond. They're not using email like we do, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
They're not using it like we do. So like text messaging was big. That was the one thing that really helped me. I could be anywhere, right? And them kids would get a message, and my office would be like, we can't fit all y'all in here, right? Mm-hmm. But they always got the message and were able to have like a conversation after they got the message, right? And if you curate it properly, if you schedule it, right, there's less work for you as the counselor to do, right? The other thing that I think is really important, now we get into social media content creation. You don't always have to sit there and have a conversation with your students all the time. You could drop some content on Instagram or whatever they're following, or even in the Remind app, or even in your Google Classroom. And there goes the conversation.
I use all of that.
Right?
All of it. Super
important. There's so many tools out there that people like, as soon as they consider the pandemic done, and it's not over, right? We're still in the middle of it. Once everything was done and they were back in schools, it was like they abandoned all these things. You could be talking to your parents all the time, right? Your parents could be getting information regularly through text, Facebook Lives, right? Like they don't even have to be at the school anymore. Like there's so many different ways that you can utilize it.
Sure.
And I hated that a lot of people kind of stepped away from it just because they were back in the actual physical building.
I agree. So I think the call to action is for practitioners to investigate things like Chat GPT and other platforms that are similar, and see how we can utilize it responsibly. Because I don't think it's going to be unavoidable. I think this is what's going to be happening. Students are going to gravitate towards that. I know many of my students have a bunch of tips and tricks to make things in life easier for themselves.
Yes.
And although
I'll be listening, I'll be like, girl, what's that website again?
Yeah, for sure. But I think the main thing you said is being able to utilize technology responsibly. Last word. What are you saying?
Get the app. Download that today.
The app. Which app?
On Track for College.
There we go. Also,
make sure you follow me on social media. On Track with Ms. P. That's 2 Z's. Put some respect on my Z's, please. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm always like sharing information and tips that you can share back with your students. Drop them in your stories. Send them as a DM. Whatever you got to do to make sure they're getting the information.
Perfect. And you can follow me on All My People LLC. I'm not doing the fly stuff that she's doing. And the reason why is because for this episode for 30 minutes, my shirt has still been shrinking. And I'm trying to focus on something different.
You guys have to see his stories, y'all. Like the one thing, I'm gonna give you credit. I'm gonna give you your flowers today.
Okay.
He is an incredible storyteller, right? And the way he tells the story of his young people is just absolutely amazing. So if nothing else, follow him for those stories, so that you can kind of see like what he's up to and what his students are up to.
I appreciate that. The shirt is still small, but thank you.
Whatever.
Thank you. So we are on track for All My People. This is
On Track with All My People. This is Amber Peters, A.K.A. Ms. P.
Daitwan David, Dr. Change. We'll see you
next time.
All right, y'all.
Toodaloo.